Hey guys, this podcast, That Creative Life, is sponsored by B&H Photo. So if you ever need to buy a camera or you want to check out my podcast setup, just use the affiliate links in the description of either these videos or my podcast. This is an audio first podcast, so I have new episodes out every single Monday. The people who get to listen to them first are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to your audio. But most of the time, I actually do record the video, and as a lot of you guys are staying inside, I thought, hey, there's not a better time to release some of my favorite episodes as the full video episodes. So make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, but without further ado, the interview I did with Marques. Special guest today, Marques Brownlee of MKBHD. We're going to do our own clapping track. Yeah. So behind you is the Mac Pro. And I figured we could just get right into it, as Philip DeFranco says. And that's definitely the most hot topic right now. And I feel like you, out of anyone, are someone that actually is going to utilize this to its fullest potential. Because tell me, the average video, what cameras are you using and what Kodaks? Because it's almost like, okay, the Mac Pro makes sense for you.
Yeah. Okay, so our video production workflow is almost all RED all the time now. Yeah. So we've got these RED cameras that shoot 8K. And when I say 8K RAW, it is the R3D codec, which is their RAW codec. And I could rant for a long time about that, but it's a great codec. You can choose your compression ratio, and you end up with this image that you can tweak around in Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
And as soon as you import it onto the Mac Pro, you can play back in Final Cut Pro in better performance mode, so it's a lower resolution, but that's for your chopping and your general edit, and then you can color it later. But yeah, it's definitely pushing the Mac Pro quite a bit.
Really?
But you can push it to its limit with RED code. If you go all the way down to like 5:1 compression and try to play it back in high performance or in high quality, it will stutter and stop.
So you're not playing the raw footage directly from the camera. You're still using that step down. I mean, are they like proxies?
It's not even proxies. Okay. It's mainly just it's using a quarter resolution version to play it back. And then once you render that out, then you're in H.264. But yeah, I am still editing raw.
Have you at all, because I know you're Final Cut, do you ever occasionally venture over to Premiere?
It's been a long time. I edited for years with Premiere. A lot of people forget, but I have not felt the need to in a really long time.
Yeah, because I'm just curious. A lot of the videos obviously are with Final Cut, but it makes me wonder if there's a limit to the amount of sheer power that you need. Because, I feel like at some point the software is kind of just Premiere. And
yeah, at a basic level, we're all kind of doing the same thing. When you have footage that's really, really heavy, then you need more GPU power and processing power. But at the end of the day, chop.
So nothing bad to say about the Mac Pro? You're good? Good with it?
I wouldn't say nothing bad. I mean, I'm reviewing it. I'll put together all of my thoughts in one place. Yeah. But there's little weird things about it. There's no dust cover, silly stuff like that. But there are also things I'll rave about, which is the performance is great. It's quiet all the time, so I can do voiceovers right next to it. A lot of great things about it. But overall, worth what I've put into it.
Yeah. And the displays are just beautiful.
They're great.
They're behind you now. And ooh, okay.
6K.
It's just beautiful. Marques, you just hit 10 million subscribers. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's so huge. You have over 1.7 billion video views. And then you just started a new podcast, Waveform, which I've enjoyed. And the last episode with you guys was super intriguing. I loved hearing the process of your videos and everything that goes into it. And you kind of dived into those, those top-down shots, the very MKBHD.
You named everything we do. And we didn't realize we are the only ones who call it. Maybe we're not the only ones who call it these things, but yeah, there's just a lot of stuff.
What was there some verbiage that people were unfamiliar with?
So I guess when we are in our workflow, we already refer to things like we're going to do a robot shot. And I guess that makes sense that we're going to go to Studio B and we're going to set up the robot and we're going to do something.
Robot. I mean,
I don't know if they're confused, but now we have top downs, we have first persons, we have all sorts of other things that we have gotten a process for. So yeah.
Is that robot being rented, or do you like own that robot?
We own that robot.
That's amazing.
It's not typical. It's like red cameras. Most people don't actually need to own a red camera.
Right.
But because our use is so on demand, in like an hour, I might go, you know what? I have a shot idea. It's not like I can go, all right,
and
let's rent it and bring it back here.
Explain what that robot is to the people.
Yes. The robot we have, it's made by, I'm not going to remember the company, Kuko. Kuko is the company that makes the robot arm. So if you've ever seen like a car factory where there's these giant arms like picking up the car, moving it across the assembly line, that type of thing, imagine one of those arms, but with a camera on the end of it and with software programmed to keyframe and move it around however you want, and then an Xbox controller to move it in space.
Oh, so fun.
And so the company Motorized Precision has like put this suite together of their software and this box to power it and the arm and everything. And it's like they bring it all to you, and you can make the camera do things you could never do with your own hands.
Truly, the shots are insane, and it's so funny that the only time I see that robot anywhere else is those viral clips of, you know, like a fancy food commercial where they do like slow-mo of like the soda flying in the air, and it's, you know,
it's like tracked, and those I watch those, and it's really impressive the shots that they're able to get, because whenever we think of a shot we want to do, we have a general idea of like, all right, I did a shot, I remember, where we wanted to just follow the phone in free fall to watch the pop-up camera go back into the top of the phone. And the amount of times we had to drop it and get it just right to start falling at the same time we dropped it. And like the arm itself has limits. It's only 3 feet long, and it has a 9 meter per second max speed.
Okay.
But since the speed of gravity is, you're accelerating at 9.8 meters per second squared, you have to like start it a little bit ahead of the phone, and then it passes through the frame. So there's things you don't think about when you see those shots, but when you just see the shot, it's like amazing.
And then they're worrying about throwing a burger in the air with a shake splat. I mean, it's insane. You should rent it out and start. I bet you could start so many different social channels of just like slow-mo robot and just like bank on AdSense and like Twitter monetization and stuff.
We should.
You know, things to consider.
I'm glad we have the ideas. This is good.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I feel like something that you do really well is your content is very editorial, which is very rare in the YouTube space. Like my YouTube channel, it ebbs and flows with my interests, and I'm very blunt with people. Like, I'm biased. Like, I am very biased, guys. Like, it's the tech that I'm interested in and my life. But sometimes, you know, YouTubers get docked for that. And it's a great perspective and a needed perspective, but something that really makes your channel stand out is it has this level of credibility and editorial likeness. The shots are consistently beautiful. Is that something that you set out and strive for from the get-go of like, I want to be if there's a phone that comes out, mine needs to be the only video that people need to watch. You know, it lays down all the facts. You're not just talking about your needs and your life, you know? Because I think you're the truly not only, I don't want to, but like unbiased. You still bring yourself in a little bit.
Well, I would push back a little bit. I think, so it didn't really start off with that being a goal, but it was sort of a byproduct of what we're trying to do.
Right.
The original goal is I want to make videos that I would want to watch. So like when a new piece of tech comes out that I'm interested in, which is like all these new phones and tablets and tech happens all the time, I want to make a video showcasing that to put the person who hasn't bought it yet in the shoes of someone who has. So like you can see like what it would look like if you're holding it in your own hands, that type of thing. And then of course we're trying to show there's bad things too. You need to know about that too. So we're getting shots of all these things, putting it all together. And it just so happens that enough people watch it and take it seriously that it's become its own genre of video, of this like this tech review from a personality that you trust. So that's kind of like the byproduct of it, and we have fun with it. We have all kinds of, you know, not just reviews, but there's explainers and there's all kinds of like interview stuff, randomly car stuff in between. We do whatever just feels like
just like
fun.
Interviewing Elon Musk and Bill Gates and just to drop a few names. What are some other people that Satya from Microsoft? Man.
Yeah, the interview list it's not very long, but it is quite a list. I started with Kobe Bryant, which was I mean, may he rest in peace. And it's went from him to Neil deGrasse Tyson to, Will Smith, Satya Nadella, Bill Gates. I really don't want to forget anybody now. Elon Musk. I'm not forgetting anyone, right? Yeah, it's a great list.
I think it's quite a list. And with all these opportunities that comes with YouTube, do you get nervous at all? Were those some of the first opportunities where you were like, oh, this is interesting?
Terrified.
Okay.
Yeah, the first ones.
He is human, guys.
It has gotten, like, I'm not an interviewer. That's the thing. Is
right.
like, I went into those first ones, like, I've been making tech videos, and then Nike comes along and they're like, would you like to talk to Kobe about the tech in his shoe? And I was like, yes, but also, holy crap.
Yeah.
So yeah, like those first few interviews where I'm like going in with, I've done a lot of research, and you can only do so much preparation before you actually sit down and you're talking to this person, and you want to like just have it go. You don't want to structure it too much. You just want to have a conversation. We're actually thinking more about that series now as we are working on a repeat guest for the series. So
I saw that picture you posted.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah.
I was like, I have a feeling who that is.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out like how we can structure the series so people know what to expect. Like we're just talking to people who have a unique perspective on tech, whether it's a CEO or a celebrity or a business person or a really creative person, and just chat.
Yeah. Do you feel the pressure of building like different brands and series to be buckets for videos, or are you just kind of the type of person that's like, there's an audience throughout the video, tech is the center? Because I feel like sometimes I overthink things, and I'm like, it has to be so specific, the brand, I need like a dope logo, and maybe that's just the creative side of us just hyper focusing. But do you think that matters? Because one of the biggest questions I get from people is, I have this series idea, should I like create a new YouTube channel and new socials for it, or should I just put it under my umbrella, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we have a bunch of different buckets, playlists, and they all have their own style, but at the end of the day, they all go back to tech. So it makes sense to put it all in one place. I think if I started to do something totally different, like gaming videos or cooking or beauty or something different.
I would love to see a beauty MKBHD spin-off.
If I started reviewing makeup, that would be in a different... That's a different audience. So that would go on a different channel, and that's the easy way to separate those things. But it's just been like autofocus. We kind of have like these clever names for series like Autofocus, and we have the behind the scenes series, the interview talking tech series. I think it's a healthy variety is what we like to call it.
What's been your funnest part of starting a podcast?
Do
you enjoy it? Are you kind of like...
It's great. It's really great because like so many of the things we talk about in the studio, especially when all of us are here and the dog's here and the dog's like talking about things.
So disappointing. The dog
all
isn't
kinds
here.
of tech. Yeah, we always have these crazy conversations, and then it's just over. Right. And then we haven't made a video about it or tweeted about it, and we've just moved on to like work for the day.
Yeah.
And so having a podcast to like recap and go back and actually have those conversations and share them and really explore those topics is something I think that's like unique to this like hour-long format that we didn't do this in 10-minute videos. So this is the place to do it.
And it's such a good time to be alive because you can take a peek behind the curtain of, the biggest YouTubers, the CEOs. It's just crazy. It's a cool well of information. Let's go back to Marques, where he grew up. Did you grow up in New Jersey?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you go to school in New Jersey too? Because I remember those early videos, like you in your dorm room had a dope setup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Went to school in high school in New Jersey. So I was making videos. I have like these stages where different places I made videos. One was at mom and dad's house when I was in high school. Then I moved to college, also in New Jersey, where I had a dorm for 1 year. That's like a very small sliver.
Yeah.
And then I lived in Hoboken, New Jersey for 3 or 4 more years after that, where I also made videos, and then moved here. So it's like 4 different stages, all in different parts of New Jersey, all different sized rooms for sure.
What did you study in college? Did you finish?
Yeah. Okay. Business and technology was my major.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah. But
that makes sense.
See, you say that, but like as far as what I actually studied
Yeah.
and like looked at,
Yeah,
they
what
were
does
maybe
that? What's the curriculum of business and technology?
so business and technology are great, but then the classes you take are like international business and business relations and all these very high level business and finance topics.
Right.
And the only classes that really started to get into the specifics of overlap with what I do were like I took one social media class and I took one motion graphics class, which was not like they don't have many of those at Stevens. So I took one of those. Then that was about it. It was like a bunch of other very broad business subjects, and they were helpful for context of like various industries. But
Has international relations helped you with anything of talking to phone
not-
companies? or-
not really. I mean, I've had like some context of like things to keep in mind when you're
Right.
working with companies in different time zones and different language barriers. But other than that, it's like kind of real world experience.
Yeah. So when you were making videos, you were getting traction. What was that first video that popped for you?
Great question. I don't have a good answer.
Really? So
Yeah.
it was a steady.
It's always been like a gradient from it's over 1,100 videos now.
Wow.
But one I do remember was the first video that ever got more views than I had subscribers, and that was like a light bulb moment. And I think that was when Safari, the browser, came out for Windows. I made a tutorial on how to download it and set it up and use
Nice.
it.
Yeah.
And so I was doing all these screencasts, getting 150 views here, 129 views there. I was pumped.
Banking it.
And
wow.
then Safari came out. I was like, oh, this is crazy. I got to show people this. I showed people that, and 3,500 views overnight. Oh,
Hello.
whoa. What does that mean? So that means people who aren't subscribed
Mm-hmm.
are watching it anyway because they care about this stuff. Interesting. So that was a light bulb moment, I think.
We have definitely similar light bulb moments, and that my first video that I ever posted in 2011 was I played electric guitar like over 10 years now, and I had all the gear, right? I had like pedals, amps, and so I was flipping stuff like crazy, and I posted a video of a fuzz pedal, and I posted that to a forum, like a buy sell forum, and so it got like 50 clicks, and I sold the pedal, and cool. This was in 2011. 2 years later, I look at the video, and it has like 10,000 views. I'm like, excuse me. And then you realize that YouTube is built on the world's biggest search engine.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is a thing, right? So what was your family thinking about like you making videos? Was it a hobby and you're like, oh, have fun, but make sure you finish school? Or did they get it early on?
Yeah. Did they get it? I don't know if they got it. So like it was in high school when I started, and so it wasn't like a job. Obviously, there was no partner program. It
Right.
was never a question of would you stop going to school, but it was like more of a safety concern. Like you're a
Oh.
child on the internet. Like don't show the front of the house. Don't
Interesting.
say your name. Don't identify yourself.
So is that why you're MKBHD? You didn't even say your name?
No, I just rebelled straight up. I just named it my
Okay.
name.
Okay.
But I did have to be, a little cautious of those things. Yeah, and I guess they really, I didn't tell them I was starting to make videos. So when they did find it, I think my dad basically, like, after dinner one day, he was like, so, like, tutorials on the internet, huh? I was like,
Oh, no.
yeah, that's me. And he was like, there's worse things you could be doing. So,
Oh, that's nice.
if it's what you find fun, keep
yeah,
it up. And
that's awesome.
seems to be working out pretty well.
That's great. Yeah, the first, I wasn't supposed to have a MySpace, and that was my first
See?
moment of the parents being like, this internet thing, like, don't speak, to strangers.
Don't show your face.
Exactly. Don't show your face.
Yeah.
But then YouTube was so fun because I didn't even show my face the first few years. I was like demoing pedals and stuff.
Yeah.
Your first video was popping up on people's feeds recently.
Yeah,
Wait, was
it
it
does
your
that.
first?
It's
Or
not.
was
it's,
it-
it's my first tech video.
Okay.
I originally started a YouTube channel so I could upload videos of my golf swing,
Nice.
so that people who found it, and I guess I understood this concept back then, but that people who found it could leave feedback on my swing and like help me get better. And I called it like 15-year-old golf swing analysis. Help
How
me out.
pure of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I sure a couple comments here and there were like, yeah, it looks like a nice draw. Make sure you get the hips through faster so you can get the club face square. And I was like, yes, this is why I started this. So that was like a year before I actually
Wow.
started making the tech stuff. But yeah, then the first tech video was just me in front of the webcam reviewing the little
HP
Express port remote. Yeah, it was good
Wait,
times.
what was it?
It was, so when you bought a Windows laptop,
Yeah.
you could there's an optional PCI Express slot in this like, desktop replacement laptop. And inside of it was a remote control for Windows Media Center. And it was very specific to, I guess it was Windows Vista at the time. And it was literally like if you had like a
software
movie
that shall not be named.
Yeah, so at least that remote, like I didn't know that I was going to get that remote just because I had the laptop with the PCI slot. So I was like, look, here's the remote you get and here's what all the buttons do. And I just uploaded that video because people need to know.
Yeah.
And people,
recently
sure enough,
it's just been surfacing.
Yeah.
It probably does that, you'd say every now and then, but for the first time I saw it, it's like, oh my gosh, Baby Marquez.
Exactly. Baby Marquez.
So funny.
Yeah.
Where did you get that initial knowledge from? Like, were your parents tech savvy? See, what I did in the beginning is I like siphoned off information from my friends who weren't on the internet. So I would like go shoot with my friend, hey, what's ISO, shutter, and aperture? They'd tell me, and then I would literally make a video about it the next day. Hey guys, I'm obviously an expert. I'm going to teach you ISO, shutter, and aperture.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me it was a lot of research and other things that I'd watched.
Yeah.
So probably same bucket. My dad was into tech, but it wasn't like the gadgets and consumer electronics type of thing. So literally, I bought this laptop with my allowance money because I wanted to have a computer for work, for school. And so when I was a little kid about to spend $600 on a laptop, I was like, I got to pick the perfect one because I'm spending like all of my money on it. So I'd watch tons of videos on all these laptops. And sure enough, the jargon seeps into my head and I'm figuring out which CPU. And I need 64-bit Windows to have more than 4 gigs of RAM to take advantage of it. And all this stuff, I guess, stuck. So by the time I got the laptop, I could turn around and talk about it.
That's so cool. Were sports always a big part of your life? Was it golf before Ultimate Frisbee, or what?
Yeah.
Was it? Did you play basketball, football? Was it always specific sports?
I've always played sports. It was a little bit of basketball in the beginning. Started golfing when I was 10, and then I started playing Ultimate when I was 13 or something like that. And yeah, it's just, yeah, it's always been a part of my existence.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well, you're so good at like downplaying you. Like you're a professional Ultimate player,
It's
right?
true. Yeah.
Okay. So that's obviously such a big thing, but we very rarely see that side of you. So is that something that is still just like, it makes you happy, it's over here, I don't really need to share a ton about it? You know, because I feel like I would have these guys out there like filming my games and like showing it off.
Yeah, it is. I always say I would go like crazy if I didn't have one or the other.
Right.
Because I've had people ask, if you could only do one or the other, which one would it be? I'd be like, well, I can't pick. They're both really great. There happens to be High Level Pro Ultimate that I play for the New York team. I've played Club Ultimate for years before the pro leagues even existed. And yeah, it's fun. I'm not paying it. I'm unplugged. It's like a different part of my brain.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And then that's healthy to have that.
Definitely. And now there is a little bit of an inevitable overlap when you're a public figure and people want to go see the games and then they want to go see you. So that's like part of the Venn diagram overlaps a little bit. So I feel like a little bit of a responsibility to responsibly share the sport. Like I think the sport can grow and can be in the Olympics someday.
Yeah.
We deal with that noise a lot out here. But yeah, so I've been sharing the sport. People go to games now that we have this pro format. I can actually
cool.
like share footage.
Tell me, because I'm kind of an outsider looking in and see the clips that you share, but tell me about like the actual sport and how it's evolved over the years.
Yeah, okay. If you go way back, I mean, it came up in the 60s, obviously super old school, but Ultimate Frisbee, if you can picture it, is played on basically a football field. There's 10-yard end zones on each side, and teams of 7 play against each other trying to score in the end zone. So it's like a kickoff, like football. You throw the other team.
It's super fun. I mean, it looks very action-packed.
I mean, the best way to understand is like watch some game footage for like 5 minutes and you'll understand like
if you've ever played basketball, it's also basically German basketball.
Very similar to basketball. You can't travel once you have the disc or the ball. You can throw to other people. Then you score in the end zone.
Let me specify, not Germans who play basketball, but there was a specific like training game we would play. It was called German basketball.
Oh, it's a different.
And it's where you couldn't dribble. And so it was basically just like work on your passing. So it'd be 5 on 5 and you try to get to the other side
Right.
by just passing. Once you catch it, you can't dribble, you can't move.
I like
so,
that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so it'll probably look a lot like that on like a giant field, and with much further throws. But yeah. So we've had Club Ultimate, which is like, you might think of it as like an area team, for forever. I played for the New Jersey area team for like 8 years. There's high school and college level playing as well. So my high school played competitively against other high schools. I went to college. We immediately started playing against other region colleges.
Yeah, we did not have this in Texas.
You might be surprised. You might have.
Maybe
maybe
we
not at
did,
your
and we
specific
just
school.
didn't- yeah.
But like at the moment, Texas has some of the strongest programs
Really?
in Dallas and Austin. Yeah,
Okay.
in the whole country. So, now that we've been trying to share and grow this sport played with a disc, the logical conclusion was, let's make a spectator-friendly version. You can play in front of people in the stands. We'll have referees, uniforms. There will be a New York team and a Boston team, and they'll play against each other. That kind of thing is happening. And that's shareable and fun, and that's what you've seen the clips from. So that's a couple years old now, and it's going pretty well.
That's so cool. Was there ever a moment where you thought that you had to choose? Because for me, I guess things are kind of all encompassing to where I just throw myself into something and I don't do anything else. It's probably not the healthiest thing, but I can imagine YouTube can keep you busy, right? Was there ever a moment where I might not be able to play Ultimate?
So the only reason no is mainly tech happens during the week. Like these companies operate during the week, and that's when business is happening. And Ultimate happens during the weekends, mainly. So you'll go to a high school tournament that's always on the weekend. You get to college, you have class during the week, and then you have a tournament on the weekend. And when you graduate, like now, it's like I work during the week, and then we have a game on the weekend or a tournament on the weekend. And we have practices, during the week and everything, but that's helped it stay separate in my mind. Is like my brain from the week shuts down on Friday, and then wakes up on Monday.
So much that you have weekends.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it's been separate.
If Marquez can do it, guys, anyone can do it.
I can too.
You can too. So you talked about your video flow. I know I'm bouncing everywhere. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This podcast lacks a little
We've
bit
been
of
on the
structure.
rails like too much. My goal was to get off the rails, so we'll see how I can do.
So let's try to. You succeeded basically. It's still shocking to me that you're so involved with the process and that you start the script, finish it, and then you also edit. Do you edit every single one of your videos still?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not 100% of it necessarily.
Yeah.
You 90-something%. But yeah, when we have an idea, it goes from the script phase to the shooting phase to the importing all the footage and organizing it and editing phase. And I'm a part of all of that just because it's my idea. So I'm trying to like make what I envisioned. And we'll have things like motion graphics and other fancy little pieces here and there that I can hand off. But yeah, 90-something% of it is me clicking and pressing buttons. Yeah.
Because you have an awesome team around you.
For sure.
Ooh, shout out.
Yeah.
So most of that help is with filming and maybe with like on location shooting and stuff.
Yeah, and it's good to have more than one brain
definitely to bounce
associated with
ideas
an
off.
idea. Yeah, you can often better communicate something or just have more fun stuff in a video when you have more people involved. So of course, yes, having someone behind the camera so I can be in front. Need 2 people for that. When I'm driving a car, I need someone to be shooting the car. You need multiple people for that. So all that's necessary. But yeah, just having other tech enthused people, creative people around that can help with the ideas and the workflow. It's all great.
I forget that the red cameras, you have to manual focus. So I guess you do have to have
autofocus in so long.
2 people.
Yep.
Yeah, I recently bought the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K and the 4K, and that's my first time in a while where it's just manual focus. They have autofocus, but how are you supposed to autofocus selfie video when you're, it's
But you like that camera, right? Like
I love it. But when I used it, so I used the OG ones. Have you ever held they were tiny.
The tiny little,
Yeah.
I held one recently and I forgot how small it was and I was kind of surprised by it.
They were crazy. They overheated. It was a lot of it was terrible in the beginning.
Yeah.
But the image you got out of it. And
very nice.
Yeah. And I was always using it for interviews. So I never had to turn it around, to me.
Right.
But now that YouTube's era and it's crazy having a camera that can only manual focus.
Yeah. It's the Red is rumored to be coming out with a Komodo. Well, they're gonna do it. And one of the things they've talked about is autofocus. And I've always said my dream camera would be a Red, a little smaller, autofocus. That's it. That's my dream camera.
Like some dual pixel Canon stuff
I
up
mean,
in
it's
there.
impossible. But if you could have basically the camera I already use,
Right.
and shrink it down to half size and give it Canon dual pixel autofocus, I'd have no reason.
Yeah.
Maybe battery life could be better, but
I'm still waiting over here in Sony land for that. Just little, like the autofocus is close. It's almost there. But
close.
the moment you pick up I feel like I crap on Canon all the time, but the moment you pick up one of those guys and you hit the autofocus, it's just...
Yeah. You realize
perfect.
how well they've done at that. And the color science is
Exactly.
a little different. Also, you've seen probably the rumors of the EOS R5 or
Yeah, which I
something
don't
like that?
believe any of those
I don't
specs.
believe
Are
it.
you kidding
I
me?
read that and I was like, there's no way this is real. Sorry.
And they're like, for sure, if not 4K 60, maybe even higher. I'm like, you guys know we're talking about Canon.
yeah, like
right?
we've seen these rumors before, and
Yeah.
how did that turn out? And even when they do like nail the spec sheet, they'd be like, but you have to crop, or like something drastically.
Or like the recent 90D or something where it was a proper APS-C.
right, it was full frame.
But you didn't have 24 frames per second.
Yeah, wow. Jeez. Like this is
It's
Canon
like-
we're talking about, so.
Canon, come on, guys. I'm always tempted to. People love their Canon C200s, and
They're great cameras.
it's so tempting. But then I pick one up, and I'm like, a lot of times, I guess I'm just too much of a one-woman band that I just couldn't make that happen.
You know, it's the C200, and I played with the C100. I used it for about a year. It's a really interesting camera to shoot with as one person.
Yeah.
Now, I know you do a lot more like vlog style, so it's harder because you have like the monitor on top and you're doing a whole lot of
Yeah.
adjustment. But
Maybe for like 30 seconds at a time.
yeah,
just-
you've seen the Moment guys like vlog
Yeah.
with the C100. Like it's possible.
If
but-
Caleb can do it, maybe I can do it.
Yeah, but it's not ideal. But that was when I started shooting with the cinema camera for the first time. I realized how many features you get in one of those cameras
Yeah.
that you don't get in a DSLR that
What was that
happens to do
first
video.
jump? What'd you jump from?
I went from the 5D for like a year to C100.
Okay.
And the 5D Mark III, I was like playing with all these custom color profiles.
Yeah.
I was like, how can I get more dynamic range and how can I mess with
Did
the color
you
more?
download like Cine Still?
I did.
And, yeah,
I started
good
going
times,
to the
guys.
hacking it,
Yep.
basically in air quotes for audio listeners.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's like I got the C100 and it was like, oh wow, so this is like the sharpest 4K ever, or 1080p ever.
Yeah.
Didn't even need 4K. The autofocus was great. I had wide DR, which is this wide dynamic range
Hmm.
color profile built in. Had NDs built in.
Yeah.
Had
Ooh,
the
the
mics,
built-in NDs.
had the XLR preamps built in.
Yeah.
Like had the handle on top built in.
Yeah.
Had the flipping screen built in. And I was like, well, this is a mile beyond 5D.
Yeah.
So that was a no-brainer. But yeah, it's still not a small camera at all.
I feel like everyone was on the same page back in the day when the 5D Mark II really came to the scene, and everyone
Yeah.
was like, "What is this this DSLR thing? Oh,
This
they're
big
shooting
sensor."
music videos, and yeah, the full frame sensor, and
Yeah.
there's that 5D Mark III hit the scene too, and you could film 1080 60. I feel like, right? Because everyone maybe
1080, probably 60. Yeah, I think I went 5D Mark II to C100 Mark One, but yeah, I mean, I didn't need 4K for a long time before.
Right.
So
Well, now
I was
you're on
happy
to
with it.
8K. So
Hmm.
who needs that?
I don't need 8K, but it's pretty great.
Yeah. I remember when I first discovered DSLRs, and the OG ones, like the Canon T3, I didn't have autofocus, but I was so obsessed with that. Like, you would like not zoom in, but like focus into the shot. Did you ever have
Yeah.
that phase?
Oh, yeah.
Where like half of your video would be out of focus just because you want it to
Yeah.
come into focus. I don't even know what you call that.
When you're doing like the camera move where it starts out and then you land and it's in focus.
Yes.
Yeah. There was like I went through that too. You get the first
Someone needs to name
DSLR
that. Yeah.
and you get like your first lens or two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you started with the 50 or like, I think I started with the kit 18 to 35 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the 50.
And you understand what depth of field is, and you're just
Exactly.
like,
and you're like, I'm shooting everything wide open.
Exactly.
I don't need anything stopped down, and I'm just gonna swing this camera around out of focus, and it's gonna be great.
For the longest time, like my eyes would be in focus, but everything else wouldn't.
my
And
God.
it took me a while to learn that there's reasons why you can stop down a lens. And this serves a purpose.
Yeah, I think I remember I had this, my setup in my bedroom before I left for college was a Canon T2i with a 50. And this was my A-roll setup, and I was alone. And now this is a cropped camera already, and a 50. So it was like, if I wanted a shot of myself more than just like
be pretty tight.
my face, basically, I had to have the camera like 12 feet away from me. So what I did was I had the camera connected via USB to my laptop, and I had the remote control software on the laptop. So I would focus on myself on the laptop, and I would record from the laptop and like talk to it. And it would be like way across the room, but I would at least have more than just my eyes in focus, and it would be like a kind of a proper setup. But you can tell it's really far away.
Did you, because see, I didn't do anything outside of on-camera audio for a long time. So were you fancy enough to have lavs and stuff, or was your audio being recorded from across the room?
From the beginning, I don't know why, but I always learned that like the closer the mic is to you, the better. So if I was going from the camera, like I could get a Rode video mic on the camera, but it was still too far away to matter. So I also had a USB mic right in front of me, just off camera, that I was speaking into, and I would sync them after. I think I recorded with Audacity, and I would just import the footage, sync them up.
Oh, I love it. It's so humbling to know that we all came from the same place, man.
This is the video world in 2010.
Canon T2i, the T3i, good times, guys. Recently, or not recently, when was CES? Was it recently?
Recent-ish, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Did anything stick out to you besides, I mean, Sony car was cool, right?
Sony car was cool.
And also, I would like to ask, scratch that first question. Has your approach to CES changed in terms of content? Because when I went there, this is my first time that I was like, I don't need to make a YouTube video here. Maybe I'll just do complete like social videos, because that seems like that's what gets the most interaction.
I have described this exact phase. It doesn't have to be a phase, Sarah, but it is a phase that I went through where I started when I first went to CES. I was like, I'm going to make 10 videos, and they're all going to be 8K, and they're going to be incredible. And I can't wait for CES. Everything's going to be awesome. And I went, and I think I made 5 videos, and I was like, well, that was overwhelming, but I got some good stuff out of it. And I went from that to like,
just slowly.
I don't want to bring any cameras. I don't want to bring any audio. I just want to go and take a photo of something and go home, and that's it. And I think now I've found somewhat of
a balance between that.
Somewhere in between those two things.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe everyone just goes through it, but the conference is so exhausting in itself.
True. Facts.
That when you add a layer of like trying to have a nice production, it's just exhausting. And so many people want to like meetings.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? Next year I'll go and have my meetings, and I might just like go around with one camera, post to social, interact with people, because it's almost like you have to choose. And I enjoy like, you know, saying what's up to tech YouTubers I haven't seen in a while. But when I'm so laser focused, I have to kind of block some of that out.
And even with our channel's niche of like being the highest quality we can possibly come up with,
right?
A show like CES is like the opposite of ideal for that, where you're like,
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It's a dimly lit show floor, and there's people literally bumping into you as you try to shoot stuff, and there's no way this footage is going to be good, but I just want to show people this cool thing I found. Like, we end up making like a dope tech of CES, like a sort of a roundup video of like all the cool stuff in one place, so you're not like jarred by like some weird footage in like multiple videos. It's just, here's all the CES. It's in one place. Check it out. But yeah, you kind of, after, how many CES have you done?
4.
This
was my 4th.
Yeah. So that was my 8th.
Jeez.
And I think it was around 4 and 5 that I was like,
We're just like,
I'll just bring the EOS.
Well, I did correct this year. I was only there for 3 days. Last year I was there for 7.
That's the same thing that
oh my gosh.
First couple years I was there for like 6 days, 5 days. Last
too
year,
much.
4 days. This year, 2 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, there you go.
Didn't get sick.
I didn't either.
So that's the best part of only going for 2 or 3 days.
It's like 2 to 3 days
Yeah.
is the sweet spot. You
Yeah.
might not get to do everything.
I would say if it's an early CES, do 3 days so you can spend the first day like scoping out, getting overwhelmed, seeing 3 or 4 cool things, going home and then reading all the articles about the stuff you should have seen. Spend the second day going back if you want to, get footage, if you're a YouTuber, that type of thing.
You're the phone guy, so let's talk phones.
I love how enthusiastic that was. So here we are, phones.
Phones. Here we go. So I don't cover much outside of like the classic Samsung, iPhone, Pixel. But that's because who needs to watch my video when you're covering all of them? I mean, they're just perfect in of themselves. But in terms of like the state of phones that we're in, I feel like everyone has kind of reached a moment where it's like things are kind of peaking.
Here it is.
Right?
Here it is. This is my next video.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. This will go up, so we won't step on any toes. But it's great
Okay.
to know. I'll write off that title.
Sure.
Title this podcast clip the same thing. Anyways, it's a feeling of like, I update every year because we're making videos about it. But when I talk to my family, when I talk to my friends who necessarily aren't directly in the space, they're rocking a phone from like 3 years ago.
And it's fine.
Yeah, and it's fine. And it's been shocking to see how well iOS is running on like still an iPhone 6.
Yeah, they're really good at that. Yeah.
So from a, maybe not just like, a content standpoint as someone who makes videos about phones, but as a person who uses a lot of these phones, like what are your feelings about it outside of, we don't want to step on the toes of the video.
Yeah.
But just some thoughts.
Can I rephrase your question?
Oh, totally.
Would your question be something along the lines of, are we at peak smartphone?
Yes. That is what I would ask.
That's where I was thinking.
Are we at peak smartphone?
Are we at peak
Marquez?
smartphone? And I think the answer is twofold. I think it's a little bit of yes and no.
Oh, I wish you would have
It's a
had
little
the
bit of
Galaxy
a
Fold
Galaxy
with you.
Fold.
Yeah,
It's a
that would have been
twofold.
great.
But I mean, speaking of the Galaxy Fold, you have crazy phones now that fold in half. You have 120 hertz displays now. You have 5,000 milliamp hour batteries. You have 100 megapixel cameras. You have all this stuff that we've like never seen in phones before. And maybe a phone that has it all in one place. Maybe you have a Galaxy S20 has all these things in one place. So in that sense, like, yeah, no, we're not at peak smartphone. It gets better by a lot every year, and if it doesn't seem like it does, it's because you're not paying attention to the things that suddenly fold in half or the wild form factor changes. But on the other hand, have we reached peak car? I mean, everything has 4 wheels, an engine,
Well, I mean,
a chassis.
shoot. I know you love your Teslas, but have you been in a regular car lately?
I mean, they're all
Because
fine.
it's my problem is all of the buttons, and
Yeah.
they're so hideous,
Yep.
and there's no place to put this thing that everyone has.
You would love a Model 3. Yeah,
I know.
it's exactly, yeah. So like when I think about that same question, like when have we reached peak smartphone? They all have a screen, they all have the cameras, they all have the same shape, they're all glass, they all charge, they all go online, like fine. The same way like we're at peak car in that everything has 4 wheels and everything has a steering wheel and whatever, but now we have electric cars that are a completely different animal.
Because that's what I see. It's like Tesla, there's some people who are like messing up crap over in that industry,
Yeah.
and it's really intriguing to watch. When
Yeah.
I see I have a Galaxy Fold and it's super fun, and I love like scrolling on a Twitter timeline on that beautiful phone, but I never see it as something that someone's actually going to buy. A lot of people are buying Teslas.
Well, this is the first gen problem. Is
Yeah.
we have this new idea, this new form factor, which is what if we could fold a bigger screen into a smaller space? And so if you think of like the first iPhone, that kind of was one of the thoughts was like, there's no apps, there's no like, do people want to buy $1,000? Do people really want to buy this?
Yeah.
And
it was
2 or 3 generations in it, like
$600 for inflation is probably
right.
yeah.
But it proved itself over time.
Yeah.
And obviously people do want to buy it. But I think the idea in 2 or 3 generations will start to mature and get legs and really be useful to a regular person. Where right now, yeah, we have like the Razr, the Galaxy Fold, the Mate X, and the Royale FlexPi. So not a whole lot of
I
conviction
saw that
there.
at CES. Yeah, that was kind of a
Yeah.
hideous phone, to be honest. That
Exactly.
FlexPi. I was like, ooh.
If people only saw that, like if people only saw the Nissan Leaf as
Right.
the only electric car, they'd be like, well, these seem
My
silly.
dad owned a Nissan Leaf. Shout out to Papa Peach.
Did he love it though?
You know what's so funny? I would never think of him as like a forward thinking person who cares about the environment or anything. But he has been a wild supporter of the electric car since the get go. And he loved that Leaf because
Okay.
he only had he only drove like 25 miles a day for a short commute to work. And so he loved that he could just plug in his car. And I mean, I thought it was hideous.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to compare the FlexPi to the Leaf. Like the FlexPi was truly bad, and the Leaf was useful for some people. So I
Yeah.
guess you're.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, if you only see the one that doesn't seem to work for you, you
Right,
won't think of
right.
the whole movement as useful. But when they start to come out, now you have a Chevy Bolt, and you have the i3, and you have the Model 3, and suddenly there's more options, and you're like, I think that's accurate. There's something to that. Maybe in a year or two, we'll be there. with
Yeah,
phones.
I guess it's the prices that I think is
That too.
what makes it so hard to get right now. Because even, gosh, the Chevy Bolt, I mean, that is a very
not
expensive car for what you're getting. But in terms of, I just had some Southern come out and me getting. Sorry about that. In terms of folding screens, what gets me the most excited is I don't need my phone to get smaller, but I want to bring on like an iPad and slip it maybe into like a sweatshirt pocket. I can't wait until that folds. I don't know if
you
that'll
saw
ever happen.
You saw the Surface Neo,
Yeah.
which is like the same
that's
size
true.
and
Yeah.
super thin. Like if Apple made that in a year or two and it was had no bezel in the middle, like that's the size of an iPad, 10.9 or whatever
Man,
this is. So
sign me up. That's
we're
what I'm
close.
ready for.
yeah,
Because every plane ride I take, I don't want that to be a question of do I have enough
Do I have
room in my
the iPad?
backpack.
yeah. I've been bringing the 16-inch MacBook Pro on flights lately, and it's just barely fitting on the tray in front of me. But
Yeah.
I just love that keyboard, so I have to.
Honestly, so I'm about to put my review out on it, and I've been so critical of. You know what's so funny? That I unboxed that 2016 MacBook in this office, and that's what changed it all for me.
True, really.
That's what caused me going over to Windows Land.
Oh, whoa.
I know, it started with
Interesting.
you, Marquez.
That's like a twist.
Yeah.
So you unboxed that MacBook Pro, then what happened?
And then I was just shocked of how terrible it was.
Wow.
Because I was such a, I had that 2012 MacBook. It stuck with me for
Oh, so that was
4
the
years. I literally hopped from the 2012 MacBook Pro that I did everything on to the 2016,
which had like the throttling
throttling,
starting,
the
keyboard was-
terrible keyboard.
Yeah.
My display had issues.
Okay.
The USB-C would disconnect my hard drives all the time. It was just a nightmare.
So you're like, this whole MacBook thing isn't so hot anymore.
And that's
Gotta
what led me
explore.
to 2 years of trashing the MacBook.
Yeah. So this one redeemed itself?
This one did.
Okay. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good for Apple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for them.
Who cares about Sarah Peachy? But yeah, it's one of those things that it just didn't make sense coming all those problems from Apple.
Yeah. You think of quality control, you usually think Apple's had pretty high standards there. They don't usually have weird glitches, but the MacBook Pro did have a bunch of weirds. The keyboard was a perfect example of quality control just not being good at all. They've had the occasional you're holding it wrong and gates here and there, but that's kind of interesting how that one laptop
Changed it all for
turned
me.
Sarah Dietschy to
Yes.
full-fledged,
Yeah.
2-in-1 land.
Literally, yeah. I have an iMac at the apartment, which I also bought on this computer. I guess I'm milking of like, oh, can Marquez be in this video? But I never put you in that video. But it's funny that, remember, I forgot, I think I was here for, Retro Tech, guys. Check out the episode where
Watch.
I was in. That was such a fun experience.
Yeah.
But I remember that for some reason, I just needed an iMac in my life for my apartment because I was tired of crouching over with my laptop. And I was just like, I was convinced when I came here and saw all the iMacs. And yeah, I bought it at this computer behind me, which is so funny. Anyways, let's actually talk about retro tech. And, you obviously cover tech wonderfully, and you have your team here. But this was YouTube coming alongside of you. And, you're working with this production company all of a sudden. How was that experience creating this very high level content? And the first episode I watched, I was like, how long did it take to plan these?
Yeah.
I mean, wow, Marquez.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, so part of the advantage, I mean, we have our own little team here, which is I would consider a production team. But part of working with Vox's production team is they also have this whole archival staff where they can go back and find archive footage. They have access to talent and they can bring in guests and things like this. And they have this all very structured. So RetroTech was a good hybrid between the creative and the ideas that I had and the big budget like production that they could bring. And it turned out pretty well. It was 6 episodes. Would love to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. ...
What was one of the biggest challenges with that?
Okay, so honestly, it's the lack of control.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned earlier, I have such a big hand in everything that goes into a video on my channel. And for this RetroTech series, it was like, all right, we had the device. We'd pick, we did the Dynatak was our episode. We'd pick the Dynatak and we'd have all these different segments planned. Windows
oh my gosh,
update.
Windows, chill.
A laptop never makes that sound.
Yeah. Anyways.
No, yeah, it was so I always have such a big hand in everything we do. And so for RetroTech, we picked the device. It was a Dynatak. And then we just let them go ham and figure out ideas and like bring in guests. And they got Marty Cooper, who invented the Dynatak. And then we got Sarah Dietschy, who's got, we would figure out things to do with the pagers and all these different things. And we'd put it all in one place. And then we'd shoot everything. It was about a week to shoot each one, but a lot of planning beforehand, a lot of post-production after. And I didn't edit any of it.
Wow.
So
I mean, that must have been kind of nice, though.
On one hand, it was nice that I didn't have to spend the time editing. But on the other hand, if I was editing, I think I would have found a little bit more of my own voice in the edit, which I typically do when I shoot a lot of these things. Whether it's just like fun Easter egg or just a little having a clone of me or whatever I do. Like, I do a lot of stuff with the idea I get as I'm editing. Or even color correction or whatever it is, little things like that. So yeah, on the other hand, it was like passing that off was like part of my brain was still thinking about it as it was happening. So, but that wasn't necessarily a huge challenge. I would say it was my biggest challenge, but it ended up
like a mental challenge of knowing that that's going on without
just
you
trusting it.
Trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you would ever be in a position to let go of the edit?
No.
Because, okay. Honestly, maybe that's the perspective I need to have. I just see editing because I find the story in the edit as well. Yeah. I am an editor first. I could get help with shooting any time in the day. And I don't feel like my toes are being stepped on. And I know that people are more talented than me in that. But I am such a control freak with the edit. But it takes the most time.
This is what I was thinking about. Does it make us control freaks, or does it just make us owning that part of the process?
Yeah.
Like, I've watched a lot of YouTube and a lot of other YouTubers and videos, and I think there's a couple different things that make a channel and make a video. And for a lot of people, that's the subject. A lot of people, that's their personality. For a lot of people, that's the edit. And for me, I think the edit is one of those things that makes the channel and I could be wrong, but it feels like it's a big part of it for me. And when I change the edit, I can directly see the response by the way people enjoy or hate whatever I did.
Right.
So I feel like, for me, it's like, it's the tech we talk about. That's always going to be there. Everyone can do videos about the same tech. And so when you remove that, it's the personality, which, I don't know, I'm fine, I guess. And you have the edit and the way it's shot and what we make. So, that vision, I think, is always going to be integral to the channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe I just need to find parts that
you need
I can
to
give
clone yourself.
Yeah, in the perfect world. Because I want to do more things, but I'm so aware that that's my like one talent. Is like not one talent, but just editing is the thing, and I enjoy it. But it's always something that you have to adjust as you grow. But I like that you have a flow going on to where you can still do what you're true to. Yeah. How long does it take you to edit a video? What's a typical?
It depends on the video. The fastest edit right now will be like 3 to 4 hours,
Okay.
which is like a Q&A. Like I've just shot everything and I just like cut through it and put the questions on. The longest edit will be maybe an autofocus video like we're editing right now. It'll take like 3 or 4 days. But it's worth it, I think. So
No, that's cool. And you're finding fulfillment in your work, and that's
Yeah.
that's always nice, especially since you've done it 10 plus years.
yeah, this is year 11.
Year 11. Okay, so last question. We're wrapping things up. Tell me about your biggest challenge that you've had over the past 11 years. Have you ever found yourself in like a corner crying or wanting to go get a full-time job, or
Whoa.
any breakdown moments, Marquez?
I don't think I've had any of
Oh,
those
amazing.
moments. Maybe that's shocking. Does
That's
it feel like I
good.
should have had?
Yeah. Well, good for you though.
Oh yeah, no. Biggest challenge. Sometimes it feels like the biggest challenge is like keeping yourself on your toes, because you don't want to get comfortable. You naturally do want to get comfortable because that's what your body and your brain wants to do. But you find like you get to like a certain point of the year and then you look back and the last 3 months were all the same video. And you're like, I got into a really good groove there, and that was like 25 videos, but I'm not even proud of those. And then you start to like turn the gears a little more and, turn over a new page and start to mess with things again and have fun with it. So maybe that's my biggest challenge, is just keeping it fresh. Everyone can make tech videos, so how are you gonna differentiate it and stand out and keep the big picture fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what's a piece of advice that you would give someone who wants to start in a seemingly saturated space?
It's a great question.
Right.
And it's another one that I don't have a good answer for. And I'll talk more about this on Waveform, because
There you go.
we're gonna chat about almost that exact question you just asked. I might just play
Amazing.
what you just asked me at the beginning of Waveform.
Beautiful. There we go.
To satisfy people wondering, here I get asked to give advice all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't have any, because my position when I started out was so unique, and basically you can't replicate that anymore
Mm-hmm.
now, that I don't know what to say. I do your best.
Yeah.
Be happy with what you do, even if it never works, because that's all you have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, pick a topic that you think you could talk about all day and make videos about, and even if no one ever watched, you would still do it.
Yeah. No, that's good. And as cheesy as it sounds, finding your passion, it's truly, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, it's going to be extremely hard to put the actual work in that's necessary to make it your full-time living, right? And again, there's luck involved with timing. We were born in the United States with a Wi-Fi connection, but I will say that I think there's a huge white space out there, and this is me going on my editing rant again,
Sure.
for YouTube editors. Guys, I'm just going to put this out here.
Okay.
If you can master the art of the jump cut, and if you can be able to tell a story in the edit where you know what's important to the edit.
This is like a job listing,
It
but also
is.
an encouraging rant.
Yeah. Well, it's like, if you can tell what is important to the story, whether it's with tech or whatever, because I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing, is cutting down 40 minutes of talking head into a compelling 12-minute video, and understanding that you need to keep the audience's attention. When I say jump cut, it means that there is no dead space between
None.
You cannot
I overlap
lose.
my own sentences.
See, there you go. Understanding the overlapping of audio and video. But then there's a balance of that, because you don't want awkward audio pops and all these things. So all I'm saying, guys, is you can roll in some great freelancing fees.
Apply at jobs@saradici.com.
But I think that's what is lacking in the space. There are so many successful YouTubers that I think are feeling the itch to do a little bit more. But editing takes up so much time that you could be a rock star number 2, number 3 to some of these amazing YouTubers and be super fulfilled.
Yeah.
Go home at 6 p.m.
Yeah, party.
and party.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, Marquez, thank you so much for being on That Creative Life.
Thank you for
Someone's
having me.
excited out there.
Yeah, slamming doors.
Slamming doors. Anything else you want to add?
Apply at careers@mkbhd. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, thanks for having me. If you want to check
course.
out the Waveform episode where we'll talk
Yeah.
about creativity and advice and starting a channel, that'll be a thing.
Link down below,
Link
guys.
in the below notes.
Notes, not description.
Show notes is what you call it?
Show notes.
Show
there
notes.
you go.
It seems like everyone calls it show notes, so I just also started
We
calling
know
it
how
show
to
notes.
pod. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Amazing. Thanks, Marquez. Make sure you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you guys listen. New episodes every single Monday. And until next time, thanks for listening, guys.